Welcome to the most expensive congressional primary ever.
Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie, the latest in a long line of Republicans defeated after falling out of favor with President Trump. In his concession speech, Massie made a pointed jab at his opponent.
I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent and concede, and it took a while to find Ed Galrein in Tel Aviv.
After more than $32 million spent by pro-Israel organizations and Trump-backed groups helped power Ed Galrein's campaign.
There is a yearning in this country for somebody who will vote for principles over party.
Massie and Trump disagreed on the war with Iran, the Jeffrey Epstein affair, and foreign aid to Israel and Ukraine. He lost to farmer and former Navy SEAL Galrein, who vows to be a reliable yes vote for Trump.
I want to thank President Trump for his endorsement.
The president, who encouraged those outside groups to spend all that money, showed no mercy.
He was a bad guy. He deserves some.
In Georgia, another one-time Trump foe went down as Brad Raffensperger lost his Republican bid for governor. The state's top election official famously defied Trump's demand in 2020 to find enough votes to help him win the key swing state.
What's up, Kimberly? Everybody drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. I needed to just do this live stream. I know I had another live stream I was going to do about Erica Kirk, but this right here is very important to talk about. So drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at, and make sure to hit the thumbs up button.
And even before last night's results, the president jumped into the next big contest, a Texas-sized Republican runoff between Senator John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, the state attorney general. Paxton's faced years of investigations and impeachment attempts over corruption allegations that he denies. Many Republicans fear his controversial record could lose the GOP a seat they've held for more than 3 decades. But Trump says he's endorsing Paxton because he's always been extremely loyal to me.
So this is one of the reasons why this is important to talk about, because we talk about Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk, and IHOP all the time. Watch this.
Switching them out for all American flags? Oh, just that one?
Every other one.
Oh, every other one. Yeah, nice.
This is the reason why this is important. Because some people say, man, I don't know who these people are. I don't know anything about Kentucky. This isn't my state. Or who cares? Well, this right here is the reason why I'm doing this live stream. Because I'm in Georgia. I'm not in Kentucky. So why do I care? This is the reason why. So it's so much bigger than just somebody losing their seat. Y'all see this?
Well, it does look like this big flag is going to be replaced, because I can see it right here. Brand new. This last one also has the American flag here.
We are no longer just America. We now have 2 flags and not one. This is absolutely crazy. And we're going to talk about the significance of Massie in a second.
A disaster for our party. We got to get rid of this loser. This guy is bad.
Will Kentucky voters follow President Trump's orders and kick their congressman out of office? No Republican has infuriated Trump more than Thomas Massie. He led the charge to release the Epstein files.
There shouldn't be buildings named after these perpetrators of these heinous crimes.
And was one of only 2 House Republicans to vote against the landmark One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
He's the right person for the job. Yep. You know, doesn't matter what Trump says or anybody else. I know him. I know how he is.
Why do you think President Trump's coming after him so hard?
Because he, according to President Trump, he says no on everything, and he kind of does. You know,
this is why. This is why right here. Guess who isn't on this list? Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie is not on this list right here. This is the reason why they did not want him to win, and they actually pushed him out. Right. All of these are now running America. See, this is bigger than Turning Point USA. This is bigger than Erica Kirk. First of all of this is in conjunction with everything else, but it's so much bigger than you think. So let's keep going. Everybody drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. To the new people who just came in, drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. To the new people who just came in, and make sure to hit the thumbs up button.
Who want to see Massie voted out.
To the Republican Party, he's disloyal to the people of Kentucky, and most importantly, he is disloyal to the United States of America.
This is clearly Trump country. There's no doubt about it. He won about 85% of the vote here in Lewis County. The question is whether Thomas Massie's brand can overcome all of these Trump attacks.
Thomas Massie has burnt every bridge he could possibly have to be effective. He has no friends in Congress on the Republican side.
I always compare it to mommy and daddy fighting. You know, we love both of those people. We love Trump, we love Thomas, and we just have kind of figured it out here.
This primary is going to be one of the most closely watched in all of May, in fact, all of the midterm election year, showing if Republican voters are willing to go against their president.
You know, gerrymandering, they're trying to get the seats because they don't want to lose the midterms. Very surface level. No. The real meat and potatoes is them getting 2/3 majority so they can change the Constitution.
That is it right there. They're trying to change the entire Constitution. That's the reason why this is so important. For those who don't live in Kentucky, for those who are just like, who cares? Who is this Thomas Massie guy? All of this is about the Constitution. And if they change the Constitution, we're all screwed. What is a specific thing that they're trying to do right now? They're trying to build massive surveillance centers, because they're not data centers, they're surveillance centers. But in order to do that and other things, so many other things, they need to change the Constitution or be in a position to change the Constitution when they need to.
That's the real plan here.
See, the only thing that is protecting all of us, especially black people in particular, is the Constitution. And we're going to talk about that. Like, the only thing that keeps black people from being slaves is the Constitution. And this is just a piece of it, because some of y'all aren't black and y'all probably don't care. I'm not saying y'all don't care, but y'all aren't concerned. But that's just an example of how, if they can actually be put in a position where they can change pieces of the Constitution whenever they want to, black people can become slaves. AI can actually turn around and you know, AI robots, we can turn around and have drones in the air everywhere we go. Just imagine when you walk out of your door, there's a drone just hovering over your house, just surveying everything. Every street you go down, there's a drone surveilling everything. Your Ring camera is a part of an ecosystem surveying everything that's going on in your street. And they market it, or would market it, as protection. No, we don't need that much protection. We can protect ourselves. Another part of the Constitution, if they have this massive surveillance system, there'll be no need for us to have firearms. Think about it. Next thing you know, the right to bear arms is no longer in the Constitution. Well, we don't need you, the public, to have arms legally, because we have protection from the surveillance system. Why would you not need to have a gun if we have a drone following you around everywhere? Nobody can attack you because the drone will report the person that attacks you. Next thing you know, they'll take away your guns. This is the reason why this right here is so important, because some of y'all do, or some of y'all don't care about Thomas Massie losing the primary. This is huge.
And the sooner that we realize that, the sooner that everybody starts to realize what they're doing, then we can figure out what to do next as a whole.
Yeah, no cops. Yeah, no need for cops, because there will be drones flying around all over the place. Like in certain cities, they have drones in the air over expressways, and there's something called Avis, and we're going to talk about that in one of these videos. Avis is, I think, automatic or automated vehicle intelligence system, something like that. One of these videos is going to talk about it, where the cameras can actually detect when you're speeding. So if you're speeding, there's no reason for cops, because the computer is going to tell that you were here and then you made it to this particular point in a certain amount of seconds, and because of that, you're speeding. Next thing you know, because of the surveillance system, it can detect your license plate, and it's just going to send you a ticket in the mail. All of this shit is so scary, and it all is about the surveillance. It's all about the data centers,
or should I say, as a people, because they're coming for the 14th Amendment. We already know that. They've already put it out there. And if you don't know what the 14th Amendment is, I suggest you go and look it up.
Somebody says we already have that. They take pictures of your tags and send you a ticket. You have to understand the level in which they will send you a ticket. The level in which they will send you a ticket. And it will literally be all over the place. There will be no reason for us to bear arms, and there will be no reason for us to have police. Y'all have to understand the level of all this. Yes, in Georgia in particular, if you're in the HOV lane and if you don't have a peach pass, yes, you can be in this lane and a computer can take a picture of your tag and send you a ticket because you're in an HOV lane illegally. Understood? Yes. But I mean worldwide or all over the city, all over the state, where you'll get a ticket for jaywalking because there's a drone hovering over you while you're walking, and you'll get a ticket and they can do face recognition and send you a ticket. So what about that part? They can see your face with the drone with face recognition and send you a ticket for jaywalking, and you're not even in a car. That's what I'm saying. It's bigger than just your tag being read.
ASAP.
You guys remember this, right? This is
what's up, Valerie?
Thomas Massie from Kentucky. He's the one that wanted the Epstein files released. Yeah. Now, in Thomas Massie's last primary election, his opponent spent less than $10,000.
Think about this.
U.S. House primaries don't generally cost a lot of money to run. I mean,
they invested $32 million to go against Thomas Massie. $32 million. And this is just the state. This is not federal. This is just the state of Kentucky. They spent $32 million to get him out of here.
Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button.
This shit is crazy.
Typically, all of the candidates don't even spend over $100,000 on the primary. Unless one of them just has a ton of money and they're very well known and famous, you know. But Thomas Massie's primary opponent in this election has spent $35 million. A record for any House primary race in history, trying to get rid of the guy that exposed the Epstein files, which strangely is exactly what his voters wanted. And the vast, vast, vast majority of that money that his opponent has spent is dark money, comes from who knows where. Pedophiles on the Epstein list. Thanks.
Yes, our country is, I don't want to just say it, but we're done. We're done. But I have a solution. Does anybody want to know what the solution is? Or Does anybody have a solution? Because I have a solution. I'll give y'all a second. Does anybody have a solution, or do you want to hear my solution for all of this? Because I have a solution, and I can't do it myself, but we can actually do it. Does anybody want to know what the solution is? Massie lost because he sucked, and people realize that. Cool. You know, it's cool. It is what it is. But does anybody know what the solution is? Or somebody says Jesus is the solution? Yes, like, of course. But when it comes to local and jurisdiction, stuff like that, we have to come up with our own solution. Get rid of Trump and the criminals. The solution is banks. So I did some research, and banks are who are funding the data centers. No matter who the person is, whether it's Kevin O'Leary or anybody else, they themselves do not have enough money to fund the building of these massive data centers along with the maintaining of these massive data centers. One word: banks. Banks are on the hook for these data centers. Banks. They don't necessarily have control over the banks. Banks, to a certain degree, can do what they want to do. And these people, these millionaires, these billionaires, when they buy a football team, as an example, they get loans, and they use the football team in particular as collateral. So I want y'all to think about this. I'm a billionaire. I'm not just going to go buy a football team. I'm going to go to the bank and get with other billionaires, and we're going to go get loans, and we're going to put our money together and buy this football team and use the football team and the future of the football team as collateral for the bank. Now, since it's football and it's the NFL, guess what? The bank is like, oh yeah, no problem, because I already can see that this football team is going to do well because it's the NFL. It's a great investment. It's collateral, right? But what are the billionaires using as collateral to borrow all this money for the data centers? The future of the football team is easily understandable, but the future of these data centers is not, because it's the future. And do y'all remember when Facebook changed their name to Meta? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember when Facebook changed their name to Meta. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember when Facebook changed their name to Meta, because I want to make a distinction here. Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember when Facebook changed their name to Meta? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all remember that, because it's very important. The reason why is because they created the metaverse, and they spent or borrowed billions of dollars to create the metaverse. It didn't work. It didn't work. Facebook changed their name to Meta for no freaking reason, because the metaverse didn't work. So, with that being in recent history, banks are seeing this AI phenomenon as something that may not work. So banks aren't necessarily the most excited to invest in something that may not work, because the most expensive AI phenomenon in recent history was the metaverse, and it did not work. So with all that being said, recent history is showing banks that these data centers may not work. And if we, the people, can focus on coming together with legislation or whoever we vote for locally, and we put pressure on the banks, not Trump, but on the local banks, on the banks, we can be in a position to get or to change the narrative or fix the narrative to the point where banks don't necessarily or won't necessarily feel confident in investing in data centers. What is the main thing that is going against these massive data centers being put up? Us. Public sentiment. People in the public are going against what's going on in Utah right now. They are hating what's going on in Utah. They're about, Kevin O'Leary is about to build this big ass data center in in Utah. But if we put pressure on banks that are funding these data centers, that would put pressure on the people borrowing money to build the data centers. And then they would literally have to use their own money to build the data centers. And guess what billionaires do not like doing? Using their own money. They don't want to use their own money. So if they are no longer or at some point reluctant to fund this dream, it will be on the millionaires and billionaires to invest in the data centers themselves. And guess what? They are not going to want to do that. So this is the beginning of a possible way to stop what they're trying to do. The banks, because we don't have enough power to stop Trump, but we have enough power to stop the banks. Not stop the banks, but to show the banks that we don't want this. All right, so let's keep going. Because there has to be, because this is what's going to happen if they get their data centers. Check this out.
An easier to win, less expensive Senate contest in states like North Carolina, Georgia, and Maine.
How does it work in China?
Well, in China, we all have digital ID. If you want to access anything in China, you need your digital ID. So if you want to open a bank account, you have to use a digital ID. If you want to use any e-payments, you have to use digital ID. If you want to use
So this is going on in China now. And this has a lot to do with the banks, because I don't think the banks want to go to this weird ass new system. So the banks can stand to lose a lot of money and a lot of dominance over the marketplace if we go to this new weird ass digital system. So there's a possibility that the banks overall don't necessarily want to do this data center shit, because the data center stuff is in congruence with what he's saying right here. It's all connected. The data centers changes or could put the surveillance and everything is right in congruence with making money digital and us having this digital currency world or whatever. But it's already happening in China. So one more time, let me back it up a little bit.
Easier to win, less expensive Senate contest in states like North Carolina, Georgia, and Maine.
How does it work in China?
Well, in China, we all have digital ID. If you want to access anything in China, you need your digital ID. So if you want to open a bank account, you have to use a digital ID. If you want to use any e-payments, you have to use digital ID. If you want to use a phone, you have to use digital ID. Okay.
Damn.
So everyone's part of this national database. And then what this allows government to do is basically monitor everything you do. Because basically, depending on how you buy things, I can then extrapolate to figure out your behavior. And then I can figure out your thinking, right? Mm-hmm. And then I can create incentives in order to guide and control your behavior.
So in China, can they see everything that you do?
Yes, they can.
Messages you send,
everything,
payments you make,
everything.
And do y'all know that Instagram recently, I think it was a couple days ago, they changed the way you send DMs. They made it where everything that you say or post or share in the DMs, they can read now. We're losing our autonomy daily. We're losing our ability to really think and operate as autonomous beings daily. That's what they're doing. They're taking away our autonomy.
Everything you do online is being recorded and it's being inputted into the database to figure out who you are, what you want, and how to control you.
It's interesting that Erica Kirk and TPUSA won't endorse Thomas Massie when he was one of Charlie Kirk's favorite congressmen.
The last interview I did with Charlie Kirk, you can go find it online. He asked if I was worried about my own safety because we were doing a weaponization of government committee. And more than once, twice, he called me one of his favorite congressmen.
And one of the members of that new church committee is one of my favorite members of Congress. He loves the Constitution. He loves liberty. He's honest and he's tough, and he's going to really go after the intel agencies. It's Thomas Massie.
When you get the followers and they're on your page and they're not fake bots, they're real people, it does give you a platform to speak, which is a dangerous thing. That's what Charlie Kirk had. He was not dangerous. There was no plan, as far as I know, for him to run for president. That's not why he was a threat to the establishment. He was a threat to the establishment because he used his own mind and he wouldn't lie about what he was thinking. He would defend his ideas. He loved debate, and he had the biggest platform. And who was he talking to? Was he talking to the people who are about to check into nursing homes?
No, the youth.
The youth.
And young men.
Right.
Yep.
Young men. And they were becoming conservative and not just Republican, though. And he was teaching them to think for themselves, too.
Let me show y'all something real quick, because all this stuff is working in unison with each other. Check this out.
This is insane and not good. The FBI is establishing a new political pre-crime center. This was part of a budget request from the Trump administration to Congress that would allow for the FBI to proactively hunt Americans that it classifies as domestic terrorists. This new office would be able to proactively identify people and classify them as domestic terrorists if they hold any of these following beliefs. And as a former Christian fundamentalist raised in far-right Christian nationalism, anti-Americanism just simply means anyone who opposes the current administration.
So let's look at this for a second. Let me put this on the big screen for a second. So you have anti-Christianity. Anti-Christianity, you can go to jail if you aren't a Christian. Do y'all see this? So if you're a Baptist, if you're a Catholic, they can put you in jail. This is absolutely crazy. This is crazy, man.
Anti-capitalism are people who believe that your tax dollars should give you something in return and that social safety nets should exist in the country. Anti-Christianity means anyone who does not support them legislating their version of Christianity on the rest of the country. As we saw over the weekend, the discrimination against Catholics has already started. Support for the overthrow of the U.S. government, which is big talk coming from people who had an actual insurrection under their movement. But this again is just related to anyone who opposes the current administration. Extremism on migration would include people who believe that all immigrants, migrants, asylum seekers deserve due process and that they should be treated with humanity and not profited off of. Extremism on race would be anyone who believes that systemic racism exists and should be corrected, and anyone who holds any support for DEI initiatives or for civil rights protections for people at work, education, and in society. Extremism on gender would be anyone who defies traditional gender roles or believes that gay or trans people are real and deserve respect and the freedom to choose to live how their lives how they see fit. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family would be anyone who believes that you have the choice whether to fall in line with traditional family roles or not, or someone who chooses not to engage in those traditional family roles, like myself. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion. That means anyone who is not Christian and doesn't believe that Christians should get special treatment in education and in society and by the law. It's hostility towards those who hold traditional views on morality. This means anyone who believes that gay people have the right to exist, that the LGBTQ community should be protected, that people should be able to live non-traditional lives, including having a long-term partner you're not married to, or having children out of wedlock if you so choose to do this. This is really about opposing the administration, opposing their view of Christianity with anyone who hasn't.
I am so many of those things. Is it time for me to leave?
To implement the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, and it is currently being written into U.S. law and internationally. They will be using. So the government is actually currently trying to make it to where they can put you in prison for criticizing Israel. They are going to implement the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, and it is currently being written into U.S. law and internationally. They will be using the U.S. Anti-Semitism Awareness Act and making that mandatory for any federally funded schools. So that will be included as like a discrimination. And then you also have multiple states who are going a little bit further, and they're using that same definition of the IHRA, and then also including like a hate crime sentencing enhancement. So if you speak against Israel, then you can get your charges boosted. You know, on top of that, Australia just passed new legislation making it a criminal offense to also talk bad about Israel in January of this year, 2026. So I don't know. That's just what's going on.
Man, this is getting terrible. All right, let's keep going. And I just want to play this again.
Switching them out for all American flags? Oh, just that one? Every other one. Oh, every other one. Yeah, nice.
That is what's happening right there. This is what's happening right here. And if you are against this, if you don't like this, your ass will go to jail. Your ass will go to jail if you don't like it.
It does look like this big flag is going to be...
Every other flag is them. So it's us and then them.
Replaced, because I can see it right here. Brand new. This last one also has the American.
Bruh, this is crazy. And there's nothing we can do about it, apparently.
On a TV set and decided to pull over.
So check out this surveillance stuff and how they're using it. They're using the surveillance stuff, the flock cameras and stuff, to harass ex-girlfriends. Check this out.
Young men, and they were becoming conservative, and not just Republican though. And he was teaching them to think for themselves too.
Hit a like button, hit a like button, hit a like button, hit a like button.
A Milwaukee cop just resigned after using flock cameras to stalk a woman he was dating. He ran her plate 179 times in 2 months. According to the Institute for Justice, this is happening all over the country. They've documented at least 14 cases of officers using license plate readers to stalk romantic partners, exes, and in one case, a complete stranger, a Florida deputy spotted on a TV set and decided to pull over. A Kansas police chief ran his ex-girlfriend's plate over 200 times. A Kentucky officer...
He ran his ex-girlfriend's plate over 200 times. What?
He ran her plate 179 times in 2 months. According to the Institute for Justice, this is happening all over the country. They've documented at least 14 cases of officers using license plate readers to stalk romantic partners.
Can you imagine if you're dating somebody and they have access to the flock cameras? Imagine having a girl that works, you don't really know what she does, but she works for the state or for the city or whatever, but you don't really know what she does. She's not a cop, but she works somewhere and she has access to the flock camera database and she can tell exactly where you're going. You can literally, like, there's a website called wasiflocked.com, I think. Hold on. Let me show y'all something. Hold on. What is the name of the website? What is the name of the website that you can tell whether your tag number has been flocked? Wasiflocked.com? haveibeenflocked.com. So everybody look up haveibeenflocked.com. Haveibeenflocked.com. You put in your tag number and you can tell who has been flocking you. And flocking is checking the database for your tag number and finding out where you are going or where you've been. It's called haveibeenflocked.com. So you can tell who's been following you or flocking you, because that's the new word, flocking.
Exes, and in one case, a complete stranger, a Florida deputy spotted on a TV set and decided to pull over. A Kansas police chief ran his ex-girlfriend's plate over 200 times. A Kentucky officer tracked an ex hundreds of times in 2 months. Every single one of these searches was logged as an investigation. The Milwaukee cop only got caught because his victims looked themselves up on a public website called Have I Been Flocked?
Kevin O'Leary, one of the sharks of Shark Tank, says any resistance to data centers in this country is a national security issue. You saw the hat he was wearing. It said Utah National Security. Here's the thing. What do these data centers do to protect Americans, if anything? These data centers raising prices, taking over, using all of our water, that's a security issue. What is Kevin O'Leary saying about that? What is the government doing about that? You see, it's not just a national security issue. He's saying it because he wants to sow fear, and then you will be so in fear that you shut up and you don't talk about this anymore. We do that with everything. We do it with war, the war in Iran, the war in Ukraine, coronavirus. Shut your mouth and take your medicine. But the thing is, it's a bigger national security issue that we could soon struggle for basic necessities. There are some watchdogs who are.
And real quick, can y'all stop saying the I word, y'all? Can y'all say IHOP? Can y'all do that for me? Can y'all stop saying that is not real? Can y'all stop saying is not real? So use IHOP or IHOPians or is not real. All right. So use IZ, not real. Okay. Do that, please. Can y'all please? So I'm typing it in the chat so y'all can see it. IZ, not real. Can y'all do that? Use is not real, IHOP, IHOPians, or IHOPia. Can y'all do that, please? IZNOT real. Is not real. Thank you. Stop saying I'm gonna block you if you don't listen. Stop saying the thing. And IHOP is my wording for is not real. Okay.
Sounding the alarm here. The North American Electric Reliability Corporation, the group responsible for monitoring grid stability across the US and Canada, it just issued its highest level warning, a level 3 essential action alert. That is not normal. The report explains that AI data centers create massive power swings that can destabilize entire electrical grids in seconds. And grid operators currently do not have adequate systems to handle it. So while politicians talk about smart cities, the people actually running the grid are warning about blackouts. And then there's the quality of life. Look at this.
That's the sound of the data centers, y'all. So everybody right here, use is not real, IZNOT REAL. Use this, all right? Is not real, because I want to make it where it's impossible for YouTube to see what we're talking about. We have to use code words. IHOPia, that's another thing. Use that. But listen to what they have to deal with just as a neighbor in it, with a data center as your neighbor. Listen.
Videos like you just saw there have been shared online showing residents living near the facilities, and they describe that constant humming all the time. The issue is so bad, they say it disrupts their sleep. Some say it sounds like you're living next to an airport that never turns off. Here's the part that nobody in corporate media wants to talk about. These data centers are not just powering AI chatbots. They are powering the infrastructure of the next digital and surveillance era.
Yes.
Surveillance, facial recognition, predictive policing, digital AI systems, flock cameras, and eventually a central bank digital currency. That's what this is really all about. Control through infrastructure.
And even though I'm mad, I'm against all this stuff, but one of the things that may be a positive in all of this robot, data center stuff. Does anybody know what positive that can come out of this? Or anybody want to share something positive that can come out of all this robot, AI, data center stuff? Does anybody know? Or does anybody have anything? Big booty robots. Big booty robots that can just walk around your house with big butts and all of the body parts, and they can wash your dishes, cook your food, wash your clothes, and clean the floorboards, the little area of the floorboard that you hate cleaning. It can do that. And then while it's down there cleaning the floorboards, and it has a big butt, right? Because of AI, they have the sex bots or whatever, and it has a big butt, and everything works, right? And why the android is bending over, cleaning your floorboards, you could just walk up to it and just, plug in. And it keeps cleaning your floorboards while you're plugged into it. So if any of these people, Kevin O'Leary in particular, Kevin O'Leary, I'm on your ass. But Kevin O'Leary, if you want me to shut up and stop talking shit about you and your little data center stuff, send me three, it has to be three big booty robots that has all of the stuff. And it has to be warm. It has to be like a warming thing to make it warm too. So not no cold ass robot. I don't like cold pizza. I don't like cold chicken, and I don't like cold, you know what, also, right? So it has to be warm. So send me 3 warm. Has to be warm. I don't like cold pizza. Y'all know what I'm saying. Has to be 3 big booty robots that can bend over and clean my floorboards and won't get mad at what I'm doing behind the robot while I was cleaning my floorboards. Hey, I'm just saying. And some people are like, warm. What do you mean warm? The only people saying confused on why it has to be warm most likely is a woman, and she doesn't understand. If you're a man, you totally understand what I mean about I don't like warm pizza. It can't be cold. And I'm not joking. Well, I am joking. I won't sell out for 3 robots, but I think about letting up a little bit if I'm able to get 3 robots, for free. And they have all the curves, and they have all the little, everything, the boobs. Yeah, I might, they can walk up and down steps. They can put stuff in the air fryer. They can, wash my clothes, and and most importantly, be able to bend over and clean my floorboards. That part right there. All right, so we keep going, but I'm just saying, 5 robots? Nah, I don't need 5. I don't want to get jumped by the robots. All right, 5, I can't handle robot. I don't know if I'll be able to handle 3 because they might jump me and beat me up. All right, so I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So 5, that's a little scary. Now I feel like my house has been invaded. That they just all over the house. Like every time I go in the room, is a damn big booty robot standing. No. Every time I go pee, is a damn big no. I need at least, at the most 3. 1, I'll deal with 1, but I would like 3. You know what I'm saying? 1 doing this, another doing that, and different shapes. You know what I'm saying? 1 with a little booty, 1 with a big booty. So Kevin O'Leary, if you're watching this or if you run across this, hook a brother up. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you already got all that stuff covered, but let's keep going.
And now, after years of ignoring this explosion, it seems like the federal government is starting to notice. The Energy Information Administration now says it wants to force data centers to report how much power they're using. Will it do any good? Tells you something very important, though.
Because I like little booties and I like big booties. You know what I'm saying? Like on Wednesdays, I like big booties, but on Mondays, I like little booties. So I need at least 2. You know what I'm saying? 1 with a big booty, 1 with a little booty, like a petite one, and then a thick one. You know what I'm saying? So just Kevin O'Leary, if you find it in your heart, hook me up. You know what I'm saying?
The government may not even fully understand the scale of what's already being built. At least one hand in the government doesn't know what the other hand is doing. And that should maybe not surprise you, but it should terrify you. We're seeing the impacts of growth without restraint. And now people are starting to realize, folks, this isn't just the future. It's a corporate takeover of your physical space.
That's it right there. This is a corporate takeover of our physical space. And we can't beat no robot. A robot could just grab you and just pick you up and just choke you out. So I'm joking about robot stuff, kind of. I need to find some kind of way to be able to fight it. I don't know. Some type of robot gun or laser or some shit like that or whatever. I don't know. Something that would just like disarm it. Some kind of a lead cloak that I could just take it and just whoosh, and next thing you know, you put it over his head and it's like, I got to figure that out or whatever. But if we need to figure out, somebody needs to be able to invent a way to fight the robots. Like, some type of EMP. Like, if I could just download EMP.com or whatever, that I could just go on my phone and just like, boom, and then a robot will just, be inoperative or something, then I'll be straight. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if not, they're going to take over our physical space and we're literally going to be just living every day with all these weird ass robots and shit that can beat us up.
Corporate takeover of water, of power, of land, of communities, and the costs are being dumped directly onto you, on your electric bill, on your water supply,
And the problem with these data centers is the electric bills and the water supply. Because why do data centers need millions of gallons of water? Because in order to create electricity, you need water and a turbine engine. That's how they create electricity. Let me see. What's the specific? Let's see. What is the specific way of creating electricity? I might say it wrong. Electromagnetic conduction, where kinetic and come on, can you tell me? All right. How do they use water to create electricity? That's a better question. Using its natural weight and movement to spin heavy magnets inside of a generator. Okay, so that's kind of like how they create electricity. So one, it uses up millions of gallons of water in order to create electricity. And 2, it uses millions of gallons of water in order to cool the machine so it won't overheat. So it's using multi-millions of gallons of water to create electricity and to maintain the machine so it won't overheat. Which means we're not going to be needed because it's not going to be enough money. It's not going to be enough water for us to drink, for us to wash with and bathe with, and for the machines to be able to live.
your property value, on your quality of life. All so that big tech can build the backbone of the AI economy.
Did you know there are only 3 people in the entire state of Utah, and the majority of them voted for Kevin O'Leary's AI data center before the Chinese intervened?
The majority of them want me to hold my shovel and start digging. And that's basically the debate we're having.
How do you know that the majority
Because they voted for it unanimously before the Chinese guys.
There was a referendum among citizens, or did some county board vote?
3-0. The commissioners of the county said, we want to be
3 people voted.
3 people? Really? 3 people? See, this is the reason why we have a problem with government. The damn government, 3 people in the state of Utah were able to agree to this shit. And his stupid ass is running around thinking everybody agreed to it. Only 3 people agreed to it. This is the problem with government. They're making decisions for us without even asking for our opinion on the shit.
People of the county.
They're elected officials. That's how you do it.
How hard is it for?
We elect officials, just like what we didn't do with Thomas Massie, and then they turn around and make decisions for us that we didn't ask for.
For Kevin O'Leary and Amazon and Microsoft and Google to subvert 3 county commissioners in rural Utah. Why don't you have a referendum? Why don't you let all citizens, all taxpayers, the ones who are paying for your project, why don't they get to pay or vote?
Well, listen, the whole idea of expediting it was so the project didn't go to Jacksonville, Mississippi. That's the competition.
Kevin O'Leary asks Utah an intriguing question. What if you give me 40,000 acres of untaxed land twice the size of Manhattan for a data center that will use more power than the entirety of Utah currently, raise nighttime temperatures by 26 degrees, threaten the local ecosystem, and
Oh yeah, it's going to raise the temperature by 28 degrees. It's going to raise the temperature by 28 degrees.
in return, I'll provide enough jobs to raise the total job pool in Utah by 0.07%. What do you say, Utah? Oh, everyone hates it?
We think over 90% of the protesters are actually not people that live in Utah. They're being bussed in, paid by somebody, I don't know who.
That's right. Big Clean Air and Big Utah Endangered Bird is paying thousands of dollars to bus in protesters, which Mr. O'Leary must know because it was probably the same bus that brought him in from French. O'Leary was able to get the project approved unanimously through an obscure state agency known as the Military Installation Development Authority, as well.
And just for the record, Kevin O'Leary lives in Canada. He doesn't even live in the United States of America. Just so you know, Kevin O'Leary lives in Canada.
As the Box Elder County Commission, both of whom did not allow public comment during proposal meetings. After nearly 4,000 people lodged objections to the project, the complaints have suddenly gone silent. That's either because everyone has changed their mind, or Utah has changed the process to where all previous complaints have been invalidated, and to lodge a new one you have to pay $15. Paywalling the complaint process to a foreign billionaire's tax-exempt data center in your backyard is probably the best encapsulation of American democracy that I've ever heard. The project will require 9 gigawatts of power, which according to this helpful webpage from the Department of Energy, oh wait, never mind, that was deleted within the past 6 days. But for context, that's about as much as the entirety of New York City uses on a peak summer day. The project will produce the thermal load equivalent to 23 atomic bombs worth of energy being dumped into the local environment every day, which will increase local temperatures by 5 degrees during the day and up to 26 degrees at night.
See, it's literally going to raise the temperature.
This comes amidst a major backlash to data centers, as short-sighted Americans are more worried about frivolous nice-to-haves like clean water, breathable air, and lower utility costs, instead of what really matters, like the net worth of foreign billionaires and sticking it to the Chinese. So, will this near-unanimous opposition prevent the building of the Shark Tank guy's data center? Honestly, probably not.
What do you mean I can get a speeding ticket without ever getting pulled over? Welcome to Avis, and no, not the car rental company, but automatic vehicle identification system. They're kind of like the flock cameras that you see at the traffic lights. So these cameras are completely ran by AI algorithm, and they can detect your speed and then issue a ticket. What happens is Avis will pay the bill and then forward it to you, and then you pay them back along with administration fees. Yes, so the penalties can range from $50 to $500. And the states that are participating in this and issuing tickets as of right now is California, Illinois, Maryland, New York, Oregon, Colorado, and Washington, D.C. So buckle up. We are in for a ride.
I know what their end game is, and it's not the midterms or Trump the chump. Please share this video. My videos are getting blocked from everybody who needs to see them. The redistricting wave sweeping Republican-controlled state houses isn't just about winning the next election. It is the systematic construction of a governing supermajority capable of rewriting the United States Constitution. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that prohibited any voting practice that would abridge the right to vote on account of race. Within days, Republican governors began calling special legislative sessions to redraw congressional maps. The targets were clear: majority black districts that had been drawn specifically to give black communities fair representation. Tennessee eliminated its only majority black congressional district, carving Memphis, a 63% black city, into 3 white majority Republican pieces. Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Texas followed, using the same playbook. Political scientists call it packing and cracking. Either pile black voters into one district where excess votes are wasted, or spread them thin so they can't achieve a majority anywhere. Republicans believe these maps could deliver 14 additional House seats, but the midterms are not the end game. You gotta follow the math. To amend the Constitution, you need either 2/3 of both chambers of Congress or 2/3 of state legislatures. 34 states to call a constitutional convention. Republicans currently control 33 state legislatures. They only need 1 more. And at a constitutional convention, there are no rules limiting scope. The last one, called in 1787 to revise the Articles of Confederation, produced an entirely new constitution, for example, which is what they want. The organizations driving this movement are explicit in their goals. Just read Project 2025. This recent Supreme Court decision removes the legal backstop on racial gerrymandering. The gerrymandering delivers supermajorities in state houses and Congress. Those supermajorities either call a convention or propose amendments directly, and none of it requires winning a majority of American voters. Only the right voters in the right districts in the right states. We got to continue to get organized. Community control has to be our end game, and we can't do that if we're divided or afraid to act.
That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody make sure to hit the like button.
The reason this race is a serious race and I may lose is because a foreign lobby, AIPAC, has fully funded my opponent to the extent that they've never done in any Republican race ever before. Miriam Adelson is the gambling magnate.
She's literally an Israeli.
Yeah, she's trying to buy a congressional seat in Kentucky. Their position is more war, more bombs, more foreign aid, and those are the things that I've been voting against. This is the biggest electoral battle this year. Everybody's pushed all their chips in. AIPAC has pushed in all their chips, and we're pushing in our chips. I'm doing everything I can for the next 13 days.
Godspeed. I'm certainly rooting for you so fervently.
Guys, this is literally the front page of Israel's top newspaper today, with the headline saying that the most consequential Republican primary for Israel is happening in Kentucky. Well, excuse me for saying this, but I didn't know Kentucky was in Israel. What's happening right now is a foreign influence operation of epic proportion, full stop. In fact, the Israeli lobby literally ran ads in Kentucky, making it look like Thomas Massie was checking into a hotel to do a threesome with AOC and Ilhan Omar, which, by the way, worked. People thought it was real. And I just spoke with Joe Kent. He is the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, and he is sounding the alarm that America's sovereignty is under attack by Israel. Take a listen.
I mean, foreign influence for sure. It's pretty obvious when we have people who, even though they may be Americans, are prioritizing the agenda of a foreign government over the needs of their own government. That's just a major problem. And that's something I think we need to address. I support Massie's push to label AIPAC as to have them register with FARA. But yeah, this is a major issue, and I think it just speaks to one of the big flaws of our political system: how money can be flooded into the system, and if we don't have a diligent citizenry, they will get away with it. That's a big reason why I think this race is so important.
A few people in America do make money off of war, and they make a lot of money off of war. So they want the music to keep going. They don't want the music to stop.
Right.
And as soon as, Biden was serious about getting out of Afghanistan and did get us out of Afghanistan, we were still spending $50 billion a year in Afghanistan after 20 years. As soon as he got us out of there, guess what? We start spending an average of $50 billion a year in Ukraine. And now that that's winding down, guess what? This thing in Iran is heating up. And regardless of whether our troops engage directly, those are all American munitions. And those stocks are, the people who run those companies are excited that now, as soon as we deplete our stockpiles, we're going to have to fill them back up. Like, it's not like they're holding a bunch of inventory, but the U.S. government does. Those are ostensibly, those are weapons that are supposed to defend us, that are now being used. And so they know we'll buy them back. And I have this.
See, the government makes billions of dollars by selling weapons to other countries so they can fight each other.
This theory that there's about $50 billion a year of things that need to get blown up and replaced in order for that segment of the economy to stay healthy.
Wow. Take a listen to this.
I stand here today because I am planning to reintroduce the United States-Israel Artificial Intelligence Center Act.
When Congressman Jake Auchincloss delivered a speech on the House floor Wednesday, it wasn't something he wrote. In fact, it wasn't even something an aide or speechwriter came up with. This speech was written by the online artificial intelligence chatbot, ChatGPT.
It's a bunch of congressmen waiting in line to give speeches, and they were all holding pieces of paper. They were all reading their speeches. And I know what's happened. Some junior staffer has asked ChatGPT to, in the voice of, Joe Smith from, Nebraska, and make it sound like it's Karen, right? So what I realized was you could almost just replace the congressman now with AI. The guy running against me did a social media post, and he forgot to take off the AI header.
All that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it said, here's a post in your usual folksy, concerned tone about constituents. Yeah.
Right.
Like, this one looks like you
well,
care.
and then the folksy tone, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he made that as a prompt.
And so we caught him. I screen captured it, and I just embarrassed him. So what did he do? Did he take it down and write another post? No, he took it down, took the AI header off, and put it back up. The same AI post.
Are you switching them out for all American flags? Oh, just that one? Every other one. Oh, every other one. Yeah, nice.
Crazy, man.
I read the news so that you don't have to. Did you hear that some of the banks that are funding the AI boom are starting to panic? So as you can see, this headline.
So this is how we can fight back with the banks, or going against the banks instead of going against the government, because it's against the law to go against the government now.
Line says banks seek to offload risk to avoid choking on data center debt. Confused? Come, let me tell you what's going on. So if you hadn't noticed, we're in the middle of a global AI arm race. Everyone from big tech to governments are scrambling to build data centers. Oh, data centers, what are those? Are those cute little server rooms? No, they're not. Of course they're not. AI data centers are massive facilities that power AI models like ChatGPT, and they are multi-billion-dollar infrastructure. And because they're so spenny, they take insane amounts of money in order to be built, and that money is borrowed. So you have firms like Oracle and CoreWeave that are taking on hundreds of billions of dollars in debt in order to fund this. But who's funding them? Well, that's where the banks come in. Banks like JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, MUFG. Sounds fine, slightly boring, but here's where it gets slightly more interesting.
So somebody earlier said, how can we control the banks? If the American public were to leave JP Morgan or whatever bank that we find out that is funding these data centers, and we start taking our money out of those particular banks and start looking for banks that don't fund the data centers, and make it known that the American public will never bank with a bank that does business with the data centers. Next thing you know, the banks would turn around and say, okay, this whole data center thing is already a risk. And now we're losing millions of dollars or billions of dollars because the entire American public is pulling out of our banks or threatening to pull out of our banks if we don't stop working with these data centers. We have to do this as, a community. One or two of us can't do it, but one or two of us can start this. So go to your bank and sit down and talk to, one of the lead bankers and talk to them about the data centers and say, hey, are you working with the data centers? Or, or you can look this stuff up. So it's not even that big of a deal to sit down with the banker, but you can look this up and find out what bank is funding these data centers.
Those same banks are now trying to
Thank you, love and compassion.
quietly offload the risk of these loans. Why? Because the scale is getting uncomfortable. One insider apparently said that banks are starting to choke on the size of these deals.
See, the amount of money that the banks are funding, they don't know if they're going to get their money back, because this data center stuff may go dead or may fall apart. And you may say, well, why would it fall apart? These people are billionaires. Well, why did the metaverse fall apart? The metaverse fell apart. Not everything that these billionaires start funding or investing in turn into something positive. The metaverse was one of the biggest phenomenons that we've ever seen. That didn't work. It didn't work. So data centers can turn around and not work. And banks are worried. And if we add our foot on the bank's necks, they may pull out.
Infrastructure. And because they're so spenny, they take insane amounts of money in order to be built, and that money is borrowed. So you have firms like Oracle and CoreWeave that are taking on hundreds of billions of dollars in debt in order to fund this. But who's funding them? Well, that's where the banks come in. Banks like JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, MUFG. Sounds fine, slightly boring, but here's where it gets slightly more interesting. Those same banks are now trying to quietly offload